Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Clean Lakes Alliance's Yahara Lakes 101 Lake Science Cafe. I'm Bob Weber. I'm president of First Weber and a member of the Clean Lakes Alliance Community Board. And along with Johnson Financial Group, the First Weber Foundation is proud to be a presenting sponsor of Yahara Lakes 100. These talks also would not be possible without hosting sponsor, the Edgewater, right here, the University of Wisconsin-Nelson Institute for Environmental Studies, and media partner, the Isthmus. Also, this month's monthly sponsor is Alliant Energy. So just a few quick announcements. First, we want to thank the businesses and organizations that became lake partners in the month of September, and their names are on the screen right here behind me. So thank you to all those folks. Lake partners make donations outside of tickets, sponsorships, or other events. And if your company hasn't signed up to be a 2019 Lake Partner, please see a Clean Lakes Alliance staff member right here today, if you like. There's folks all around the room. Second, Clean Lakes Alliance Community Awards are less than 1 month away. They're held here at the Edgewater on Tuesday, December 3rd. The Community Awards recognize individuals and businesses making a difference in the watershed. The event is free to lake partners and friends of Clean Lakes. For more information to secure your tickets, you can go visit cleanlakesalliance.org. Finally, we want to recognize our last volunteer group of the season, the members of Phi Gamma Delta, or Fiji. The members spent time removing a lot of leaves from the street around Clean Lakes Alliance's office, which, in case you didn't know, is a great way to reduce algae causing phosphorus from entering our lakes. Leaves act like a big tea bag. And as stormwater runs through them, then of course the phosphorus comes out of those leaves and ends up in our lakes. So we want to just say thank you to the members of Fiji. And then now, back to Yahara Lakes 101. Today's talk is titled Collaborating with Farms to Sustainability and Water Quality. Here to tell us a little more about that talk, and today's speaker is Michelle Pluta, Lead Environmentalist and Sustainability Advisor for Alliant Energy Corp. Michelle, come on up.
Good morning. Thank you for coming. As mentioned, I'm Michelle Pluta from Alliant Energy, and I work in our Environmental Services and Corporate Sustainability Department. We're a really proud partner with Clean Lakes Alliance, and through our foundation, we also sponsor events such as the Frozen Assets and Community Breakfast. Today's talk is going to be a really great opportunity to learn about the things that are going on in and around our lakes. And for us, it's a great opportunity to learn about the impact these programs are having. In 2018, Alliant Energy, our charitable foundation, and our employees gave back nearly $7.4 million to the communities we serve. And our employees volunteered nearly 90,000 hours. In fact, just last month, I had the opportunity to join with Clean Lakes Alliance in an event at the Holy Wisdom Monastery collecting prairie seeds. It was such a great day. I wish we had had an opportunity to stick a photo up here of our volunteers. So today I'm very interested in hearing what our speaker today, Jeff Endres, has to say about his project and program. As Bob mentioned today, today's talk focuses around sustainable farming and water quality. Agricultural areas represent the majority of the Yahara watershed and the largest potential for phosphorus reduction. Together with his brothers, Jeff is co-owner of Endress Berry Ridge Farms in Wanakee. He has 26 years of experience in field management, machinery operation and repairs, and overall day-to-day dairy operation management. The Endres family has farmed with a conservation mindset for multiple generations and was one of the first farms in Wisconsin to have an official nutrient management plan. In 2012, Jeff teamed up with other farmers to create Yahara Pride Farms with the mission to promote agricultural stewardship. The group focuses on the Yahara River watershed, which covers one of the most populated and agriculturally productive areas in southern Wisconsin. Today, the organization's purpose is to inform agriculturalists about water quality issues, reward farmers for environmental stewardship efforts, advance new strategies to improve water quality, and connect with the public to show agriculture's commitment to protecting natural resources. Since 2012, Yahara Pride Farms has documented practices that have kept 68,000 pounds of phosphorus off of agricultural lands and out of waterways. Please join me in welcoming Jeff Endress.
Well, thanks, Michelle. Use this one? Okay. I don't know how comfortable I feel up here on the top of the stage. I might come down to your level there if I talk down there, because I don't do this every day. In fact, I don't get dressed up every day. And it's kind of, my wife set out my clothes for me, and next to my clothes was a speech that I did, I don't know, 3-4 years ago. So I can maybe give that one, or I can give this one. So I got 2 talks I can probably give today. So it's kind of interesting. But I looked it over, and the mission and everything that we talked about has pretty much stayed the same. So I think that's important, that we haven't changed from where we started to where we are now after 8 years. And we're successful at what we're doing, and we need to continue that, and we need to grow that. So, so I'm here to talk a little bit about our organization and what we're about. So I'm going to actually step down here because I'm going to look at the slides with you. So the first thing here is our mission. Yahara Pride Farms is a farmer-led nonprofit organization working to improve soil and water quality. And those two really fit together. If you want water quality, you got to have good soil health. You got to have that infiltration. When you have infiltration, you have less runoff, and the water goes down instead of going across the land. And then we want to advance ideas and technologies that balance water quality improvements with farm sustainability and profitability. If you don't have the last two, you're never going to accomplish the first ones. It just isn't going to happen. So a lot of the things that we brought into play in the last 8 years do that. And some of the things that we're learning do that, but are not profitable. And if we're going to advance the things that are not profitable or sustainable for the farmers, we've got to find some other mechanism to pay for that. And is it worth the money and the effort of the public's money to pay for those types of things? So if it's not profitable on the farm side, then it's got to be kind of a foolproof practice. So, who's flipping here? Go ahead. All right, goals. Create a mechanism to recognize farmer-led environmental state. You want to move people forward. You got to quit tearing them apart. And then you got to build them up. There's nobody out there that's doing everything wrong. So we build off of their strengths. And that is really key. So we want to be able to show that. We have to demonstrate that. We have to be able to, in order to do that, we had to create a mechanism to track progress. And by doing that, we also created a baseline. Where are we now? And then we can always look back to that when we move forward in the future. So we do a phosphorus report annually, based off the practices that we put on the land on an annual basis, or multiple year practices that add up to success, and we document that. So that's important. We want to inform farmers of new water quality rules and issues. I think it's very important for the farmers to understand what's coming down the pipe as far as rules and regulations. And can we avoid some of the rules and regulations by being proactive instead of reacting to those types of things, trying to play catch up? Let's see if we can get in front of those rules and regulations and steer them and actually let people regulate where we were instead of where we're going. Earn the trust and respect of the farmers, private citizens, government to engage in them in projects and education programs and demonstrate our commitment. doing our fair share. At number 3, it's pretty unique and pretty important. We only had to earn trust of a few folks. We also had, as an organization, we had to earn trust of farmers. And the farmers had to be comfortable with us and our organization before they're going to participate. And as private citizens, you're going to want to see the things, the changes that we make, and be able to be comfortable with it as well. And the government is very important because they're probably one of the biggest funding sources of water quality that we have in the land right now. And I think it's fair to say we've accomplished that. And then we want to promote Yahara Pride among both the brand, both from the urban and rural communities. And that's basically our logo on the side of the screen there, kind of similar to the Clean Lakes Alliance logo. As we started up together and moved on to onto our own here a few years back. But that's really what we want people, when they see that logo on a farm sign, or they see it in the news, they want to know that that's a good thing. And we've accomplished that. That logo is meaning something really good. About our Yahara Pride Farms. So we're a 501c3 nonprofit. We're all familiar with the Yahara watershed that surrounds the Madison Lakes. Again, one of the most populated and most agricultural productive areas, as Michelle said earlier. Our board consists of contractors, board contractors, cost share, certification, education, and outreach. So the people that we hire, we do not have staff, we have outside contractors. And what that's allowed us to do is we've been able to hook up with some of the best water quality and technical people, mostly people that are moving, been in the business for some time and have retired and moved on. We've been able to handpick some of those people, and it's been very beneficial to our organization. And compiling that annual report and educating farmers on how they are doing and what the differences that they're making so they can continue doing that. And also, as we said earlier here, what we've been able to do with 60-some thousand pounds of phosphorus reduction in 8 years, that's actually staying on the land and not moving off the farm. And that's really critical. As I was talking to one gentleman earlier, water quality starts at the top of the hill, not the bottom. So we have to keep it on the farm field. If it doesn't get off the farm field, it's not going to get in the waterways. So that's the key. Our farms vary in size. 41 dairy. We're working with 41 farmers, dairy, beef, hog, crop farms, small, medium, and large farms. I will also say that the farms that we are working with are at all different levels of management styles. A lot of times people say, oh, you got all the best farmers that are doing a good job, that's why your numbers look good. That's not true. And what we're finding out when we're working with the farmers out here, and we're able to look at their SNAP files and over time, is there's a lot of farmers out there that are doing a really good job. So what they have, when pulling their farm down, they might have a couple of fields that are really a challenge. And those fields are probably causing most of their footprint for their farm. So how do we work with those fields? So there's a belief that 20% of the farmers cause 80% of the problem. I'm starting to think it's not the case, based off of the information we've collected over the last 8 years. 35,000 acres and growing. 35,000 acres, we got roughly 170, 200,000 acres of land in the Yahara watershed that's tilled. So we got a pretty good start. So we don't do that without support. Being a 501c3, we've got a variety of of supporters. And anywhere from agricultural companies, insurance companies, environmental companies. We've got, obviously, a big one is the Clean Lakes Alliance there right in the middle. But this is the folks that are supporting us on an annual basis. Protect and improve surface water. So, in 2018 cost share program, 41 farms, 14,355 acres enrolled in our cost share program. 4,292 cost share acres of that were cost shared. So look at that. Farmers are going well beyond what the cost share dollars are. You could say the biggest contributors to water quality in the Yahara watershed are the farmers themselves. We've just had a lot of the donators, the people that want to donate towards this effort. And actually, the farmers are probably donating the most. Highlights, 22,000 in this year, past year, pounds, 11,497 from cover crops alone. Cover crops are something we brought into the, to the farm community very early on. We did a plot to determine what types of cover crops we felt would work the best in this area, what got the best growth, what types of cover crops sequester in, and the farmers have jumped on that quite well. And then, what does that equal to in blue green algae if they say 500 pounds per pound of phosphorus staying out of lakes? If we can keep that pound on the land, we've got over 11 million pounds that's not in the waterways. Low disturbance manure injection. There's another technology that we brought to the table early on. And in agriculture, if there's usually a new idea and it works, it probably started with a farmer in his farm shop somewhere. So this technology that we brought in, we were able to get a hold of a small farmer, manure applicator in central Iowa that created this injection tool that minimizes the amount of disturbance of the soil, but yet puts manure below the surface of the soil. And when I talked to him on the phone, and I said, well, tell me about your PC equipment. Well, he said, I'll say it like this. He said, after I applied my manure, the first PC equipment that's in the field is my corn planter. And I said, whoa, because we spent a lot of time and effort over the last years tilling and burying manure just so it wasn't on the surface, which required another form of tillage before we could plant. But here's a guy that figured out a way to put it with a special type of coulter and down pressure to put this manure below the surface without tearing up the whole field. Really key, really key. So, we got that PC equipment. We worked with a local equipment dealer. They supplied us with a tractor and tanker. We put this equipment on there and we took it out to 13 different farms the first year. Those farmers, it was all used it. And nobody could say they didn't like it. And I thought, wow, that's really good. So what did we do next? We felt that this needed to have a look at, so we had UW come out and the soil folks, and they did an analysis on what they thought, how good a job was it really doing, and what did it equate to its phosphorus savings. So they built that into their SNAP Plus model for modeling phosphorus reduction and nutrient management, all in the same, basically a year's time. Talk about moving relatively quickly. So I think that's really an asset, and that's something that we got to continue doing. And since then, we've got a number of farmers that have bought this equipment. We have a number of farmers that hire a custom guy who made his own version of low disturbance manure injection in the watershed, who looked at this, and it just kind of took off. And one of the biggest manure tanker or manure application companies out of Canada, I see, just introduced that same toolbook with the same filters as that farmer in Iowa. And I hope the heck that farmer in Iowa does something. I don't know if he did, I'll have to circle back with him. But that's really says something. So, it's pretty cool. Cover crops, grass, legumes, small grains, and other crops. So this has been something that's been really, really fun to see, and the farmers planting these cover crops, and mainly after corn silage is harvested, we're flying some on into standing corn, where the farmers will come back later and combine that corn, and they'll have this green mat going. Well, there's a number of things we can use. Spring barley, it's really high on spring barley. If you plant this fast-growing barley, comes out of the ground within a week when you plant it in September. But that crop needs to, we need to quit planting that one around the 20th of September. We found that out. It just doesn't get enough growth. Well, then you got to switch over to your wintering cover crops, like your winter wheat and your winter rye. And those crops will be green up in the fall, and then they'll also green up in the spring, and they do a wonderful job as well. When you have a challenging year like we had in 2019 and 2018 with these wet falls, it's no different in the fall than in the spring. Crops do not do well when you have to plant them in mud. Sadly to say that 2019, there's probably not a lot of cover crops that got planted successfully. Just didn't happen. Impossible. If we flew a bunch on with a plane with the county's program, probably about 1,300 to 1,500 acres, some of that grew quite well, but then got damaged severely during the harvest process. So this goes to show we can do the best job we can and have all these ideas, but then Mother Nature's always got the last call. Compost. So what do we do? What do we do if we can't spread manure in the winter, or if we shouldn't be spreading manure on frozen ground and snow-covered ground? What's our alternative? We really didn't have any other than stack it up. So that brought the attention to something a little different. What if we work with that type of manure? This is normally a solid type of manure, bedding pack manure, which has straw or corn stalks or something like that mixed with the carbon-based bedding product. So what we did is we started looking into composting that. And really kind of interesting, because the compost, how many of you have compost in your garden or work with it? Kind of a neat product when it's all done in. Really good for soil health, really good for soil. Bedding pack manure is the simplest thing to compost there for us. It's got everything you need. It's got the right amount of carbon, it's got the right amount of N. So why aren't we doing it? It's extra time, extra money. There's no equipment. There's very little equipment to do that. We either got, if you're in the composting business, it's either your little garden turner or this big, massive thing that they use at the county landfill or bigger compost site. Nothing that fits agriculture. So we as a farm, something that we did is I'm like, well, let's build our own. So we built our own compost turner. We're working with this product. We're making wonderful compost in 8 to 10 weeks. The nice thing about this compost is it doesn't have to be put on the field that day. We can put it on growing crops. We can pick and choose. We can headline stack it for a while. It can sit there a year. It's stable. It's pathogens killed. Everything it's pretty much a sterile product. So we're working with that. And the nice thing about it is a nutrient-dense fertilizer, and that cuts down on the trips to the field. So that's a plus. We've also taken it to a 2-year study. So the compost turner that we built, not only is it used on our farm, but it's mobile. So we can move it to 9, 10 other neighboring farms. So the last 2 winters, we've asked a couple of farmers to say, hey, instead of hauling that manure to the field in February and March, can you haul it to the field and just put it in a winter home? And we'll come in the spring and we'll turn it and make it into compost. So the first year was kind of interesting. Thought, oh, we're getting all this out here in March. So we started turning in April. That didn't work out real well. It got too wet, got tough conditions. So we decided in 2019 we were going to wait. And in 2019 we waited because it was wet in the spring, and we waited and we waited and we waited. And the first day that we went out with the turner and actually turned compost that was put out in the field in March was about June 5th. That's the first chance we got. And when we got out to that field, I thought this is going to be a disaster. And it was quite the opposite. We were able to turn that compost within 3-4 days of heated that manure. Within 3-4 days it heated up and started taking off. We did it consecutively for the next weekly basis for the next 8 weeks, and we had really good success if the compost was on a good site. So siting the compost pile is really important. But we were successful in what we were trying to do up until now. Because after it was finished, we wanted to wait and haul it on the field. And the idea was to haul it on the field this fall. And the idea is to still haul it on the field this fall. But it's not happening. So I'm hoping that the farmers we're working with are not frustrated to the point that it's like they don't want to do this anymore because now it's still sitting there. Where if they would have hauled it to the field in March, it would have been out of sight, out of mind. And so that's kind of what we got to work through. And the nice thing about that is when we take that manure off the field in March, we've got on SNAP about 2 pounds of phosphorus savings that doesn't potentially leave the field. And this type of phosphorus is in the form of dissolved, which is the hardest one to work with. Once the phosphorus is dissolved, it's in the water. So when it's running, it's in. It gets the stream. It's going. It's moving forward. It's going to the lake. It's going to the river. One of the other things we brought to this area and kind of highlighted was strip tills. And basically, what strip tills is you're working a strip only where you're planting, and you're using guidance technology. So instead of working all the ground, you're working an 8-inch strip, kind of like your rows in a garden. You just till where you're going to plant. So that's what they do. And the nice thing about technology on the farms is we can go create those strips today, and we can come back tomorrow with the corn planter. We can load those paths in our corn planter tractor. We can plant right on top of it within 2 inches. We wanted to bring that technology to the watershed for the simple reason: if farmers are not comfortable doing no tillage, maybe we can get some of these farmers to switch to strip tillage. Do a little less tillage. It's catching on, but it's catching on slow. Certification program. So getting back to the idea of we want to reward farmers for good stewardship, we want to be able to get our brand. So we created an assessment early on, and that assessment is basically done on the farm fields, farmstead and the nutrient management plan. And what that really does is we take our resource managers, and they go out and evaluate those areas on the farm, and it scores them. And if they score high enough, they're considered a certified Yahara Pride Farm. But it really does a real nice job of showing the strengths and the weaknesses of the farmer's environmental program on their farm. And we've got a waiting list for farmers to do this. It costs probably around I'm just going to say $3,000 per farm to go through this process. We don't charge the farmers for it. We raise the money. We've had some farms that have been certified. We have some farms that are not ready to be certified. We're not quite there yet. But that's not all bad. That's how we create that baseline and we figure out where to move from, right? I think we got pretty much everything on there. Additional programs. We have farmer meetings. We have our annual conference. When we do things like composting and things like that, we'll pull them farmers in somewhere along the winter and talk to them and hear what they liked about, what they didn't like about it. Farm tours. We've worked in the past with Clean Lakes Alliance doing some farm tours, bringing some of the folks out from the urban area to see the farm. Publications and media. We've got a newsletter, Forward Farmer, that goes out 3 times a year. Maria just sent one out last week. If you want to subscribe to that, which you could do, I believe, by just going to our website. So, easiest way to get to our website is just Google Yahara Pride Farms. It'll come up. Number of media publications, things like that. You get asked to do a lot of stuff. Some national stuff, some international stuff even. So, our challenges, always the challenges. Nothing comes easy. Obviously, weather. And that picture is pretty fitting for this year. You got soybeans covered with snow. And I'd say there's probably 50% of them out in the field yet today that should have been harvested over a month ago. And costs. Everything costs money. And to have a really good environmental plan for your farm, a lot of times it takes more than one system. It takes more than one system. A lot of times in the tiller's field or planting equipment, it takes more than one type. That costs a lot of money to have duplicate types of equipment, but sometimes it's necessary. Every farm has a unique system. Every farm is unique. And that's went full circle for me this year. So I've been renting this farm for a couple years now. And farmer just ripped me this fall about some of the erosion that was happening on this farm. And I'm like, wow, everybody else is knowing I'm doing a really, really good job. So it's like, got kind of put back a little bit and try not to be too defensive, and I listened to them. And basically what it was is just there's really a difference in philosophy. And his farm, I've been farming it for 3 years now, and I've been trying to learn his farm. And it's not that much steeper than, actually it's not any hillier than, I got other farms that are a lot worse for him working with water. And I'm like, why is this farm having these problems? I just could not put my finger on it. And this year, with all the rain, so from August 1st of 2017 to 2018, from 2018 to 2019, that farm had 52 inches of rain from August 1st to August 1st of 2018. 52 inches of rain. So there's a fair amount of water landing on that farm. And his philosophy was he wanted to see things no-tilled, which is fine. We were doing some strip-till there. He has a philosophy of we're going to spread water out and slow it down. I'm about channelizing and creating flat bottom waterways and conveying water, working with the water. You gotta work with the water, you can't work against the water. And when I actually harvested the farm and I seen his issues were, where the erosion was, it wasn't the form of tillage and how I was doing things, it was the conveyance system. It really was the conveyance system. It was everywhere that there was water that conveyed or collected and wanted to run, there was erosion. But there was no grass waterways, no flat bottoms. But his philosophy works as long as we don't get 52 inches in a year. But how do I tell him that? It's a little difficult. So we're going to make some changes. Hopefully I can still work in this farm in a year or two. We'll see. That's kind of what we're up against in some of this stuff. So. And then, again, 18 months of bad weather, 2019, the challenges. I've got a neighbor that keeps coming to our town meetings and says, "You've got to do something about my water. Your culvert under the road is flooding my property." And we keep telling her, it's not the culvert, it's the water table. She's like, it's the culvert, no, it's the water table. It's back and forth. She wants to sue somebody, but she doesn't know who to sue. But I can honestly say our water table is probably 6 to 8 feet higher than it's been. 6 to 8 feet higher than it's been. Because of where the springs are running out of the hills on our farm. We've got springs. So if there's anything to be said about this year, with all the rain and all the runoff we had, and I don't know how the lakes responded this summer. I think we had blue green algae really very deep. It was kind of a tough year. Well, there's a lot of springs running right now. Hopefully there's a little bit of dilution and flushing taken care of over the winter months, because there is water running from the ground everywhere. So that's probably the only thing that I can think of on a positive side that'll hopefully help lakes through the transition through the next few months. And hope that's my opinion. I can't, based off what I see, I can be totally wrong, but maybe it's just optimistic thinking. I don't know. But we had shortened windows to plant and apply nutrients and harvest, and that is really true. I planted more corn this spring in the dark than I did in the light. There was 4 nights I planted corn all night. Because if I did, it'll be raining at 6 o'clock the next morning. Same thing's been with harvest. You run day and night. I have not sat down on a Sunday since July. We do what we can when we can do it. And that's just it. It's wearing on the farmers. I can see the farmers are exhausted. The farmers are exhausted physically, mentally, and financially right now. Physically, mentally, and financially. That's not an easy thing to be. I had a farmer just Monday I was talking to him. He was on the verge of tears. He said, "What are we going to do? We have no bedding. We have nothing for our cattle to lay on. We're running out of bedding. We have no weather to make bedding, harvest corn stalks for our cattle to lay on this winter. Straw can't be found. The straw is sold out through, that usually comes from Canada. There's only so much wood shavings out there that we bought from the furniture manufacturer. So buy a lot of furniture. Make more sawdust, I guess. But we got to get some better weather here. It's going to be a long winter. And we had a lot of farmers go out of business the last couple of years. And I can think of over half a dozen of them in our neighborhood. And they were smaller to medium-sized farms. I've got big farmers that are talking that if this keeps up, we're not putting up this thing. So there we go. got some real challenges. So this is something that I took a number of our sponsors that are ag-related and looking at this, and I said, let's look at this nutrient cycle. What's happening with this nutrients? And I looked at the table here this morning, and everything that you're consuming this morning, to me, has to interact with the soil at some point, right? Has to interact with the soil. And everything that you eat needs nutrients to grow. So you have nutrients out of that food when you eat it, right? Okay. So when we talk about phosphorus, phosphorus comes into the waterway in three different forms, or three different ways. Anybody want to guess at all those three? Fertilizer truck, the feed truck, and the grocery store. That's how phosphorus gets into the Yahara watershed. That's the only way it comes. Okay? So so I'm thinking, well, let's try to understand this a little bit more. So if we go to the top of this graphic and we start with the soil. If we start with the soil, that's kind of where everything starts, right? And then it gets passed on, we harvest something, and we either feed it to the livestock or we send it off to process it. You could say that the livestock is processing. It really is. Because you're taking that crop that's growing on the earth and you're feeding it to them, and they're converting it into something. They're either converting it into milk or meat or some other form, wool, whatever it may be. So that's a form of processing. And if there's any, okay. And if we lose it, if there's a waste stream that comes out of that, it probably should have another set of arrows, but it goes back up to the top, it goes back to the soil, right? Well, after it leaves the processor, it goes to the retailer. So that's your market store. There's your store. That's your grocery store. So we got the fertilizer truck up there, the soil possibly, we got the livestock, that's the feed truck. And now we got the grocery store over here. Then it goes to the consumer. You consume it. There's some waste that come out of the consuming side of things, either in the form of garbage or the sewer plant, right? The next place it goes is the sewer plant, and everybody thinks when they flush the toilet, it's gone. Goodbye. We don't have to deal with it no more, but they have to deal with it. And when they're done dealing with it, where does it go? It goes back to the soil. So we create this cycle, this closed loop cycle, I call it, with the water being in the middle. So we got to try to keep that as tight as possible throughout all those processes, and keep that nutrients in that cycle. When you look at that, what is our responsibility as individuals? What's our responsibilities on a per capita basis for that nutrient pool? That farmer's out there growing something for us to eat. He's not growing it for the fun of it, because there's no fun in it. He's growing it for you. He's growing it for you, and it's going on to the retailer and consumer and back to the wheel again. So, the nutrient cycle, the public impact. What's the public's role? What's our lifestyle demands? What's our per capita T index? Has anybody ever thought of that? So we talk, Kyle, you're back there. We talk about P indexes all the time, don't we? So whose issue is the P index? Is it the farmer's issue? I have no control, as this year has proved, over how the rain comes from the sky and lands on our farm. No control at all. All I can do at best is work with that water when it hits the ground, try to steer it in the right direction, and make it so that it doesn't impact your streams or our lakes the best we can. Who owns water? Every time, Mark, you're the NR guy. I had a guy, a DNR guy out on the farm, and he was in an argument with my dad 35, 40 years ago. And he said, if my dad wanted to clean out the drainage ditch. And the DNR guy stood up on the shoulder of the road, and he was proud, and he said, I have no reason to allow you, I see no reason that the public of the state of Wisconsin gains anything from you cleaning out that drainage ditch. Because it's the public's water. And my dad turned to him and said, then come and get some goddamn water. Tell him to come and get some. Because I don't need it all. It's interfering with what I want to do. So if we don't own the water that lands on our farm, and everybody else does, then what's our contribution to that nutrient cycle? What's our per capita index? So this group of sponsors that we're working with on the ag side, we kind of set out to do that. And we can figure that out because we know, based off the information that we have on our P indexes on per acre of land, and what those average yields of those acres of land create, and what you eat and consume in this watershed. We can figure that out. And we're working on it. I wish to heck I was done with it, but we're not quite there. But I can talk about it in a little, not more precisely, but on a whole. So let's just say, what if? I'll start out by saying, we all like to buy local, right? That's the real catch thing. We got roughly 350,000 people in this watershed, approximately. We eat a lot of what we produce. There's 170,000, 180,000 acres of land in Dayton County. We eat more than you think, than you would probably think. We are led to believe that we need to buy local because we're importing everything. But we're not. We're importing certain things we can't grow here. We specialize in dairy. We don't produce all the chickens that we eat. We don't produce all the lettuce we eat. But we do produce a lot of grain that gets fed to the beef and the chickens and everything else. So it all works out. So when it's all said and done, let's just take the scenario here. When we look at that nutrient wheel, and we talk on a per capita basis, and what our footprint is, and you look at that nutrient wheel, which ones are we actually paying money to? Which ones are we actually paying money to out of our pockets? A small percentage is going out of your tax money, is coming back into ag-related programs, right? But we pay 100% of our waste stream. We pay 100% of that waste stream, of your waste product to be dealt with. We don't pay very little on the front end. Because on the farmers, the way we sell commodities is we really do it wrong. Is we plant a crop, and we grow the crop, and we deliver it to the marketplace, and they pay us what they want. We have no way of adding any extra fee, or of any at all, to any of our products for going above and beyond. Above and beyond. We cannot do that. So, how do we do that? How do we get that? How do we do that? How do we get, if we're going to make a difference in water quality on the types and magnitude that this country and this group, the Madison area here, wants to see on the lakes, we need a huge fundamental change to get there on how we spend and how it's paid for. And the nice thing about this is we have some really good partnerships with the Clean Lakes Alliance and the Yahara Lakes program and the Alliance folks here that are sponsoring the spend. Everybody wants to do the right thing, right? We got a great opportunity here to change something, the way we do things, and potentially fund something that I think is going to really make a difference. And that's something we're working on, creating right now. It's a program called Pay for Performance. And basically what that is is we would pay farmers to go above and beyond. We already have, as a whole, the watershed is well within compliance of state rules and regulations on our phosphorus index and our soil loss teats. We want to, and we're not going to get there. Status quo, right? We're not going to get there. So we're going to turn to agriculture because agriculture has a great ability to do this. Because we're so vast, I think we need to invest in agriculture like we never invested in before. And that's how we're going to do it. And I think we're coming up with a mechanism called pay for performance that can do that we will be rolling out here this winter. And I think that's probably it. Any questions?
Let's give Jeff a hand. Like we've done in the past, we're gonna just raise your hand if you have a question. Grab my attention if we're between a question and answer session, and we'll get to you eventually. And before we start with the first question, I just want to let everybody know that I'm not a farmer myself, but I do track numbers and look at phosphorus reductions happening within the Yahara River watershed. And I can say it is truly amazing what Yahara Pride Farms has done in just the several years that it's been in existence. The organization is responsible for about half of the rural phosphorus reductions that are phosphorus that's kept out of the lakes, and that's truly amazing. So I think I see a first question over here.
You were talking about 52 inches of water on that farm, but if that doesn't change in the future, we're looking at continuing higher levels of rain based on this science.
What if it don't change? Well, it's not going to be a lot of fun. Farming, I'll tell you that much, because I'll take a dry year over a wet year any year, but I'm staying that in a wet year, right? But at least you can get your work done. I don't know, the weather is changing all the time, and you know, I've been at this all my life, and we've had wet years, and I've been through droughts. I've never seen it as wet as it is right now. But the same question probably comes up when it's dry: is what happens when it stays dry? Because there's different. I remember at one point that people said that with the changing climate and stuff, we're going to get drier and hotter, and we're going to turn more into a wheat state like we were originally. And that was probably 10, 15 years ago, and now we're as wet as it be. So weather is really hard to predict. If we're going to be able to survive this, we're going to probably have to have a more. If this is the way it's going to go, our conveyance system is going to have to change. Our conveyance system is going to have to get bigger. It's going to have to get greener. Because wherever the water runs, we've got to be able to make sure it's not taking soil with it. And we have to figure out ways to contain water on the farms, which we can do to a degree with sediment containment structures and washoffs, diversions. It's just going to take a lot of infrastructure. And I was talking to my daughter one night, a week or so ago, and I said, you know, really, where we want to go with water quality in this country, or what people are talking about, you're talking about an infrastructure that probably costs and probably mirrors our interstate system. Because just think of all the rivers and streams and everything that involved. And if you want to get the best out of them, what's it going to take? It's going to take that kind of dedication and funding. I don't know if we're there yet.
Yes, can you comment on the Mmsd Adaptive Management Program and how that's been at all helpful in helping farmers go above and beyond the situation you talked about?
So Yahara Winds is our largest funding source for these practices, the Adaptive Management Program. And I think it's a great model. And I think it's a model that we can build off of, based off of some of the things I said earlier. because it touches everybody. Everybody that's sitting here today contributes to their waste stream. Not everybody pays taxes, believe it or not. Right? Not everybody pays sales tax to the degree that some people do. Not everybody pays income tax like everybody does. And everybody pretty much pays the sewer and water bill equal based off of what they use. And I think the adaptive management program is a really good model of something we should be building off of. And the key thing that I wanted to make clear when we got into working with the adaptive management problem is that MMSD's problem didn't become the farmer's problem. That's a concern on the farmer's side. So if we want to truly talk about adaptive management and working, and if it's going to be a working relationship with the farmers, then it's not the farmer's problem. It's not. MMSD is not superior to agriculture in their water quality efforts, believe it or not. So I think that's key. But we can offer some things to MMSD at a lower cost on the farm field that can make a difference for the whole watershed, because we can start at the top of the watershed versus the south end of the watershed.
Can you tell me the difference in cost per acre from injecting manure to broadcasting the manure?
Yes. Probably about $25 to $30 an acre.
Time for one more. We'll wait to that.
Raise your hand again.
Yeah, right there you go.
I'm wondering if any farms in the Yahara Pride network have thought about really switching out how they farm, like switching from conventional crops, grain crops, to something more regenerative, like changing out to apple orchards and chickens and silvopasturing and that kind of thing.
Well, we have some farmers that are doing the specialty type produce and so forth, but when you look at the financial obligations that these farms have committed at the bank on what they have invested over the last 25, 30 years for land and facilities, to make the switch financially isn't feasible. Just won't happen. Can't happen. See, we're in this is a very highly productive area. We've got really good soil, we've got really good farmers, we've got really good breeds of livestock. We've got a lot of the best. And we are very, I think, very sustainable in what we do, even though people think we should switch back to something that where we were years ago. And we cannot literally take the amount of livestock that we have housed in our facilities and pasture off all the ag land in Dane County, and in my opinion, be able to serve those animals in a way that would be humane and create the high quality products that we do right now in a way that that we would still gain water quality. I think that's really going to be a tough one, because I know how it worked when I was a kid when we had cattle on pasture. Everywhere where the cattle walked was a ditch. It wasn't solid grass. You got to be able to get these animals to and from the pasture. And those lanes are very challenging, especially on a year like this.
I think that's all the time we have. I want to give Jeff one more round of applause. Just kind of reiterate, Jeff and Yahara Pride Farms are a huge part of our Clean Lakes Alliance, and a lot of the work they do on the rural land is very important to what we're doing, and so we thank them immensely for their partnership and for all the great work they're doing. A couple of quick notes. We have the community awards coming up here on December 3rd. Bob talked about those at the start of the program. If you haven't been before, it's a really fun event. If you're a friend of Clean Lakes, you do receive a free ticket. Lake partners receive 2 free tickets. You're going to get to meet some of the people who are doing really good work in the watershed. They were nominated by the public, so be sure to check that out. Our Frozen Assets Festival, of course, is coming up in February right here at the Edgewater, a week long of family fun here, which will be really cool. Our Saturday day-long festival with the kites and the sleigh rides and the s'mores and lake limnology and ice hockey and which hopefully have ice. Hopefully we'll have ice. So, otherwise, Yahara Lakes 101 start up again here in January at the Edgewater. So thank you very much and have a great day.